government at the height of Iran's ideological zeal, and the ease with which Iran acted against its own ideology at the time. Third, it reduces Israel's role in the equation to that of a non-actor, limited its destiny to mere reaction to Iran's ideological designs. And finally, it also neglects that the threat calculations of Israel are deeply colored by its somewhat alarmist worldview, which in turn have been formed independently of Iran by the suffering of the Jewish people over decades and millennia. Rather, I believe that behind the ideological facade there is a geopolitical reality that holds the key to explaining why tensions have played out over the last decade, but it also holds the key to the solution to that conflict. There is, and there has been in Iran for several decades, an inherent contradiction between Iran's short-term security needs and its long-term strategic imperatives. In the short term, Iran has oftentimes allied with Israel in order to offset the threat from the Arabs and also from the Soviet Union prior to the end of the Cold War. But in the long term, it has had an interest in befriending its Arab environment, its Arab neighbors, and doing so by playing the anti-Israeli card. And this contradiction gave way for the Iranian-Israeli Cold War, a Cold Peace of the 1980s, in which, in spite of Iran's venomous anti-Israeli rhetoric, the two countries had joined behind-the-scenes cooperation, and at the time the Israelis were lobbying Washington not to pay attention to Iranian rhetoric, contrary to what we have today. For instance, in 1982, then Defense Minister Ariel Sharon was on NBC News and telling the American public that in spite of strong objections from the United States, Israel would continue to sell arms to Iran in order to be able to find a way to improve its relations with the Iranian government. The greater Iran's need for Israel became during the war, the more it sought to cover up its Israeli dealings by taking its anti-Israeli rhetoric to even higher excesses. And the more outrageous Iran's rhetoric became, the more Israel was pushing Washington to open up a dialogue with the Khomeini government. And this culminated in the Iran-Contra scandal in the mid-1980s, in which Shimon Peres, and let me quote from a letter that he wrote to Ronald Reagan, sought to, I quote, bring Iran into a broader strategic relationship with the West, end quote. And at the time,